Hey YouTube, so I've already recorded this video, but it was like 40 minutes long and I need to not have it be so long. This is my labor and delivery video and I'm going to try and stay on point. And I'll insert a little video of Keilani.
Here's Keilani. She's in her mama-roo. She just barely got to sleep, so she's kind of stirring a little bit. Or upsetting her. But, baby girl.
Okay, so before I get into my labor and delivery, I just want to quickly re-say what my birth plan was. My plan was to have a home water birth with a midwife. I just wanted the most natural experience possible. I wanted to labor, you know, just in the water, in the bath. I wanted to do placenta encapsulation and, you know, all of the typical things like skin to skin right after and stuff like that. So, okay. Birth story. So I started having contractions pretty much like around 28 weeks, and I just had them lightly, you know, just Braxton Hicks. I just not real contractions, Braxton Hicks. And my first due date was July 2nd, and that was by my period. Second due date was on the 13th by my ultrasound. The second had come and gone. My friend showed up on the 6th, and the 13th had come and gone. And here we are at the 18th, and I woke up to contractions, and they were 20 minutes apart, and they didn't go away. They started getting closer, 10 minutes apart, and then 7 minutes apart, all the way down to about 3, every 3 minutes. I went and got in the bath. They were still there. And I didn't tell anybody yet at that point because I just, you know, it was already so past my due date, and I wanted to make sure that was it. I didn't want to go through the whole, I'm in labor, I'm not in labor, I'm in labor, I'm not in labor. I wanted it, you know, to make sure I was really in labor. So after my bath, and they still were there, I was really excited, and I was just like, please God, let this be real labor. I'm ready. I'm so ready. And I had watched 1,000 YouTube videos. Like, I was ready. And me and my husband were like, okay, let's go get something to eat. The kids got put in bed. Like, let's go have some Denny's. So we went to Denny's, and I was having really strong contractions. They never went away. They stayed up, you know, continuously through my eating. And so on the drive home, I'm like, all right, I'm going to announce that I'm in labor. So I went on Facebook and I said, you know, I'm going to have my Justin TV up. I texted all my friends and family. And I labored, you know, all through the night, and about 4 in the morning, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna get some sleep. I told my midwife, I don't feel like this is strong enough, so go, you know, don't come over yet. She's like, okay, get some sleep. So I'm like, okay. So I laid down and I tried to sleep, and they were really tough. And Dwayne was up playing video games with my friend's son, and I was like, okay, I got to get to sleep. So I went to sleep finally through the contractions because I hadn't been up since really early the previous morning. And I woke up around 6 in the morning, and I was just like, where's my contractions? They're gone. Like, what? And about 8 minutes later I had one. And I was just like, this is not good. And I got on the bouncy ball thing, or labor ball, birthing ball, bouncy ball. I got on the birthing ball, and my dad got on FaceTime and we chatted for a while, and the kids started screaming, and so I got them breakfast. Everyone in my house was still sleeping, and I broke down and started crying because my kids were screaming on the top of their lungs. Everybody was dead asleep. Nobody was helping me. And it was just not the experience I was wanting for my birth. So I was just like, okay, my contractions have gone. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm not in labor anymore. And so people kept texting me like, what's going on? What's going on? And I just was crying in my room. And I didn't want anyone to know how upset I was. But every time somebody asked me what was going on, I just like bursted into tears because I was so overdue at that point, especially for my first due date, the second. And then it being the 13th being my actual final due date, and it being the 18th. You know, that was 5 days past. So I start doing the little things that you can do, you know, eating pineapple, watermelon, walking, having sex, everything. I was doing it all. And nothing was working. I mean, I wasn't feeling anything. I mean, other than just little peddly contractions. My midwife told me, she was like, okay, this was Saturday, I don't even know the date. She had me come over. She's like, I'm going to try and strip your membranes and see if we can get that going. So we went over there. She couldn't reach it. She said, you're so high up. I can't even. And she's like, I could, you know, really dig back there and try and strip your membranes, but if you're still that far up, it's not going to do anything. And she's like, if you don't have this baby by next Saturday, I'm going to send you to the hospital to get induced. I can't have you go much past next Saturday. And that was a week past my original due date. It was because my turnover dates were on Saturday. So then a week after my due date was when she tried to strip my membranes. And so she was basically saying 2 weeks past my ultrasound date was when she was going to have me go in. So I get a call on Tuesday from her saying she's sending me to the acupuncture person on Wednesday, and that I need to do the acupuncture to try and get things going because she really did not want me to have a hospital birth. And so Wednesday I woke up to a pretty strong contraction, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this feels good. Like this feels like a good contraction. I sat there for about 20 minutes and I had maybe 3 of them. They were about 6 minutes apart. And so I wasn't sure. I was like, do I go to the acupuncture appointment or not? Like it was in 2 hours. So I was like, oh, what do I do? And so I was like, I'm going to get in the bath. And hold on. She's crying. Let me grab her. Okay. She's had a little bit of bellyache issues, so she might be a little fussy. You put that tongue back in there. Get that tongue back in your mouth. Mm-hmm. All right. So I got in the bath, and they had spaced out. I was in the bath for about 45 minutes, and maybe I had 2. So I was like, I better go to this appointment. So I get there, and they get me, all the needles put in me, and they left, and it was a room by myself, and I went to move my leg, and I got this shooting pain in my calf, and it wasn't painful, but it was like just this really weird feeling that, I don't know, it just freaked me out. And the pain, like the sensation didn't go away. It was weird. And probably because the needle was still in my skin. And so I'm laying there, and all of a sudden I start blacking out, and I start getting really lightheaded, and I was sweating. I could barely breathe, and nobody was anywhere near me. And I had needles all around me. I can't move. Like, not all around me. I had needles in my skin. I couldn't move. And so I'm like starting to panic. And so I start yelling out like, hello, like waiting for someone to answer me. And like, hello, can someone come in here? Please help me. Hello. And finally the receptionist hears me, comes in, and was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I'm like, I got to get these out. I'm blacking out. I need to sit up. And so she goes and get the little Chinese man to come pull them out. And I mean, when I got up, the paper that they put on the beds was soaking wet. My clothes were drenched. I mean, it was bad. I've never been like that. I don't know, panicked, I guess. I don't know. It's not like I was scared of needles. I'm fine with needles, but that was weird. So I was just like heartbroken. I'm like, nothing is going to work. So I'm like, Mexican food. We're hungry, or I'm hungry, so I called my friend up and said, let's go eat Mexican food. And so we went to a Mexican place, and all throughout the dinner I was having contractions, and they were different. I felt them like all around my belly. It was like up at the top, it was near the bottom, like all at once, like in unison. It was my entire stomach tightening. And before, it would just be like a certain section of my belly would be tight and crampy, but it didn't feel like my entire like uterus was working. I don't know, it was weird. It was just different. So anyway, we get home, and my appointment was at 2. My appointment was at 2. Sorry, I'm like brain farting. Okay, so I had my acupuncture at like 2. By the time we ate and got home, it was probably like 3:30ish. So my friend came over, and sorry, I'm brain farting. So my friend came over, and Whitney, she was just hanging out and like seeing like what was going on, and I told her, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have the baby. So make sure, your sister can watch your daughter and everything. And so we were just hanging out, and I was rocking on the birthing ball, and I was like, oh man, these are getting pretty good. And so I kept telling my husband, I was like, Dwayne, please go set the birthing pole up. Please go set the birthing pole up. And he was not coming out of the back room. He locked himself in the back room, and I, for several weeks, up until me going into labor, begged him, please be in a good mood. Like, I need you to support me. I'm doing this at home by myself. I need your help. I need your support. Please be in a good mood. And he locked himself up in the back room. And so I, at one point, went to the bathroom and just cried, because I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I have no support. And so I went back out, and my midwife texted me, how's things going? I was like, oh, they're fine. She's like, well, go to the bathroom and see if there's any blood. So I went to the bathroom, and I wiped, and there was nothing. And I was just really bummed. I was hoping there would be something, some sign that I'm at actual labor. And so I had a contraction while I was still, sitting there on the pot. And I was like, I'm just going to push a little bit and just to see if I can kind of, I don't know, push something out. Well, I did. Push my mucus flow right out. And there was pink tinge to it. So I texted her and I said, yes, there is pink blood. She's like, oh, okay, you've got a while. And that was at like 5:40ish. So I went back out and made some tea, some red raspberry leaf tea, and stayed out and chatted a little bit, probably like till about 6:20. And I was like, well, I'm gonna get in the bath now. These are getting kind of painful, and I'm gonna go soak for a little bit and see if that does anything. And because my husband hadn't set the pool up, so I couldn't get in that. So Whitney said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go home and go to bed. My kids are awake, probably wondering why I'm talking to myself. So Anyway, she leaves and to go, you know, just take care of things at home before knowing, because she didn't know when I was going to have the baby, if it was going to be like an all-night thing or what. And when she left, Dwayne finally came out and started setting up the birthing pool. So I was like, okay, I can at least call my midwife now, because I didn't want to call her and say, come over and not have anything set up. Like, so I was really upset that he wasn't helping me. And Michelle's son had taken the kids to the pool. So I was like, all right, I'm going to fix myself a cup of red raspberry leaf tea again, another one, and I'm going to go get in the water. And as I was walking around, I was having to stop and bend over and like really focus through each contraction. And I was like, yes, this is it. I know this for sure is it. So I go back and I text my sisters and everything, like, contractions are this minute apart, you know, they're really strong, I'm pretty sure this is it. And my mom wanted to get on FaceTime right then and there, but I was like, I'm gonna get in the bath, so maybe in about 20 minutes I'll call you. And this was probably like 6:45-ish that I'm, you know, telling her that I'm gonna get in the bath. Well, I didn't end up getting in the bath or running the bath until like 7:10, because I started cleaning up the front room. I was like, oh, I gotta clean these toys up and get this, you know, area organized, because my house was kind of disastrous. Let's put you in there. So I finally go to get in the bath, and again I'm like crying because Dwayne's just being a brat, and I'm emotional, obviously. And I go to put my butt into the water, and I have the most intense contraction I had had to that point. And I was just like, ah! Like, I mean, I hadn't vocalized any kind of pain until that contraction. And I went to squat down and gush. A little bit of water came out. And I was like, was that my water or was that not my water? But it felt like it was. And I was like, I'm in the water. How am I going to know? So I kind of wiped down there with my hand, and I was like feeling the consistency, like to see if it felt thicker than water. And it did. It had like a weird jelly consistency. Well, I pushed a little bit to see if more can come out, because I was like, oh, I pushed, my mucus plug came out. Let me push again. I pushed, and sure enough, more came out. But there was meconium in the water. At that moment, I was just like, crap, this is not good. So I texted my midwife. I said, I think it's time to come. Water broke. There's meconium. And she texted back, what color? And I looked again, and it was like a light brown. And so I texted her, and she's like, go to the hospital now. And I was like, what? Like, what just happened? Like, what? And so I texted her, I thought you said that meconium was okay, because I had asked her, because I wanted to know every single thing that could have gone wrong, like what I was going to be going to the hospital. I needed to know ahead of time to prepare, like, okay, if there's meconium, I know I'm going to have to go. So I was shocked when she told me that I had to go, because she had said that previously it wasn't an issue. And I started hyperventilating again, like breathe, like I could barely breathe, I could barely catch my breath, I could no longer focus on my contractions, and she calls me right during the middle of one, and I'm crying, and I can't even talk, and she's like, put somebody else on the phone right now, and I was like, I can't, I'm in the back, in my room, with the door locked, like everybody's out in the front of my apartment, and there's nobody to get, and I am just like a basket case at this moment, because not only are my contractions more painful than they had been because my water now is broken, but I'm having to wrap my head around going to the hospital. So I'm like heartbroken in this moment, and I could barely get myself out of the bathtub and over to my door to throw my phone out into the hallway and yell at my friend to grab it. So she gets the phone, and I'm trying to get dressed. My husband has gone to pick the kids up from the pool, and I'm trying to get dressed. I'm leaning over the bed sobbing, and I'm not like crying, like I'm sobbing like loudly. I'm trying to find clothes. I have no hospital bag packed, because I was just so sure that this was my time to have a home birth, and God, it just felt like he made every way possible for me. Like, you know, finding a midwife that would do it. Sorry. But like finding a midwife that would do it for only, you know, like a sixth of her normal cost. And just everything just felt so right with it. I just did not even imagine anything going wrong because everything had gone right. Okay, she wants to nurse. She's like turning her head into my boob. So one sec. Okay, so this video is probably going to be just as long as my other one. So sorry. Okay, so basically I had nothing ready because I just wasn't expecting to go to the hospital. So I get out to the car and it is so painful to walk and so painful to lift my leg up into the car during the contractions, but I got myself in there and I'm trying to text my mom. Like, basically all I was trying to say was call Michelle, and I could barely get that out into a text because the way my husband was driving and through every, like, I mean, I was having contractions on top of each other. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna have this kid like any second. And about 2 minutes into the drive, about 2 minutes into the drive, I get this intense pressure, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've got to push. Like, this kid's coming out now. Holy cow. I never had that pressure. With Rylan, I just told the people that I felt it, but I really didn't. I had to push. I was in so much pain with him. With Colton, I had some drugs at the very end. So I lied. I did feel the pressure with him, but not intensely. It was just like, oh, I kind of feel a little bit of pressure. That's all it was. With this, I was like, oh my gosh. So he is like speed demoning down the road. I am like literally screaming on the top of my lungs in pain because, let's face it, I'm not focusing on my contractions anymore. I'm an emotional wreck. I'm crying. I'm in pain. Now I'm, scared I'm going to have this baby in the car. And I can't even text anybody because I can't focus long enough. Now, here's the main reason I did not want to get transferred. I did not want people to judge me. Like, I don't know. The people, when I was seeing the midwives out of the hospital, she was so rude to me when I asked for my file. She's like, don't go do anything stupid like have a home birth. And I was just like, okay. Like, I didn't say anything. I didn't tell her I was wanting to have a home birth because I just didn't want anyone to question my decision. That was my decision to make. And so I was scared to death to get transferred after that point. Before, I probably wouldn't have been as scared because I don't know. I just don't like people giving me bad judgment. It makes me feel like crap. So when I got to the hospital, I finally got into walking up to the window and everyone was staring at me. Everyone in the waiting room was, because I couldn't hold anything back at that point. There was like no recatching myself, like to breathe and all of that. So everyone's staring at me, and they wheel me up to the front room, and all of the nurses are just like glaring at me, like why is she here type of a thing. And I'm trying to tell them I had a home birth and I needed to come in because of meconium. And they were like so snotty and so hateful. Like, who is this lady? Who does she think she is? Like, telling you to have a home birth. And like, I don't know. They were just being so rude and snotty. It was it was really hard. And those few moments, I was just bawling. And so finally I get into the bed. They get the IVs put in me, all while I'm like squeezing the tar out of the side bed railing. And this whole time, I have to push so bad. And they're like, the doctor's 30 minutes away. We don't have an in-house obstetrician. So basically, they tell me I have to hold off for 30 minutes. I thought I was going to die in the 2-minute car ride over. So they're yelling at me, breathe, breathe. We need your blood pressure. We can't get the heart rate. We need to get the heart rate. And I'm just, 20% left. And I am just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I don't have the strength for this, and obviously I do, but so I grit my teeth down and I am biting my jaw as hard as I possibly can. And I need to sit up. I'm killing my back. And I am making the most ridiculous face ever, breathing through my teeth and like just gritting my teeth down, or my back teeth down, and breathing. And at one point they say, like, how big is she? And I was like, well, I think she's about 11 pounds. Excuse me. And about several minutes later, I'm like, why can't I just push? Like, please, just let me push. I can't do this anymore, please. And they're like, if she's 11 pounds like you say she is, then you might need help delivering her. You might need forceps, and we are not trained to do that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And I think I did say it, like, if that's the problem, I am pushing this. I can push this kid out. That's not the issue. I don't know if I said that or not, but I thought it. And I thought, that's ridiculous if that's what we're waiting for. Like, I will push this kid out. And everyone's being so snotty to me. And I'm like, this is so not the birth I wanted. And I'm just like, I don't even know. I'm just in so much pain, and so like kind of like I'm like an out of body experience. Like, it didn't feel like I was really there. It almost felt like just a dream, honestly, like just a really bad nightmare. So the doctor finally gets there at like, my water broke at 7:15. By the time we got to the hospital, it was like 7:40. And by the time I got up to the room, it was probably like 7:50-ish. And like into the bed and everything. And the doctor got there probably at like 8:20, 8:25. And so he gets there, and immediately I just am like, well, I'm pushing. And I asked finally, after like a good couple seconds of just letting go, and they said it was fine. So I start pushing, and they're trying to talk to me, and I'm just like not listening to them, because I just don't even care what they have to say at this point. I'm just like, whatever, I'm just getting this baby out. I knew I had to stop once her head was there so they could suction and get, you know, her lungs cleared. And I guess that's what they were trying to tell me. I was like, whatever. I was so mad. So finally, I get her head out. Oh, that was painful, because like I pushed very slowly through, you know, the ring of fire. Holy cow, that hurt. And I have a contraction with her head out, and they're like, don't push, don't push. And I'm like shaking. It hurts so bad to keep her in. And finally they're like, okay, go ahead and push. And so I go ahead and push her the rest of the way out. And I think I have like a 4-minute video of that part that I will upload. And finally she's born. The doctor, you know, doesn't let my husband cut the cord. Takes her immediately over to the bed where they're, you know, wiping her down and getting her stats. While I'm sitting there waiting for them to deliver my placenta, I said, can I have my placenta? And he's like, no. Just like that. He's like, no. And I was like, seriously? Like, I can't have it? And he's like, no. We need to do testing on it. And I was fighting so hard not to cry. I'm just like, what else could have had gone wrong? In my mind, like, everything had gone wrong. I know she's healthy. I know I could have ended up with a C-section. In my mind, everything had gone wrong. And I was heartbroken that I didn't get anything I wanted. Like, none of my birth plan, well, I didn't have an epidural. That's about the only thing, is I did it all natural. So, anyway, I did not tear. Thank God. Did not tear at all. She was 10 pounds, 14 ounces, 21 inches long. And she was totally healthy. Nothing was wrong. So I do have a blessing with that. And I'm very, very happy she's healthy. But I also feel like I'm not allowed to be sad over not getting the birth that I want. Every time I went to talk about it with somebody, they kind of would just be like, well, yeah, that sucks. Oh well, you have a healthy baby though. And like, they just would brush it off and like not care to talk about it with me. I'm like, I feel like guilty for being sad over not getting a birth experience that I wanted and I had planned for, and literally watched thousands of videos on YouTube. I have watched every single TLC there is, baby story. I have watched hundreds of videos on YouTube preparing. And then just one little thing, you know, throws it all out the door. It just breaks my heart. So that is my birth experience. And I had to stay at the hospital for 2 days. And I cried. The nurse walked in on me, just tears streaming down my face, just runny nose. She didn't even know what to say, but she knew, you know, about the birthing experience and everything, and that I wanted a home birth. And she was the only nurse in there that was nice to me, the only one. And she just, you know, said something, you know, nice and left me alone. But anyway, we're doing good. I'll do a 2-month update. Just because by the time I get around to posting this one and doing another video, it'll probably be her 2-month update. She's already 7 weeks old. But it just has taken me a while to get to the point of really wanting to talk about it. Just because every time I talked about it, I was a lot more emotional than this. I mean, I got teary, but I would literally get so choked up in my throat I couldn't talk. So, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them for me. I enjoy hearing your guys' feedback and love and support. And I'm really sorry that this is so delayed and so long, even still. Even though I didn't talk about like half the things I talked in the last video, it's still long. So, anyway, I love you guys.